Ryan. We are in beautiful Western Victoria. We are coming to meet Simon and Susan Tickner on their broadacre farm. And these guys are on a farm where there have been transmission lines for over 50 years. So you might have heard stuff about transmission lines.
Yeah. What's the
Farming and transmission lines. We're here to find out. So these guys are really well placed to get to the nub of it and tell us what's the deal. Wind farms and transmission lines.
Who are you? Why are we here? And why am I interviewing you?
My name's Simon Tickner, along with my wife, Susan. You're on our farm in the middle of the Wimmera, the grain-growing capital of the east coast of Australia. And we're here to talk about farming, wind farms, but probably more importantly about how all that interacts with transmission lines running through our property.
So creating power through grains and the wind and cables.
And getting it to the people who need it.
Wind turbines and transmission lines on farms, yes or no?
Yes.
Transmission lines above ground or below?
Above.
Transitioning our energy system to renewables, pronto or taking ages?
Oh, pronto, please.
Renewables or fossil fuels?
Renewables, that's easy.
Nuclear or renewables?
Happy with both, but we need renewables now.
Climate change, urgent action now with the proven renewable solutions, or stuff around fighting about nuclear and do something later?
We don't have time to stuff around.
I can see a bunch of wind turbines behind you here. Can you tell us about these?
This wind farm is the Murrawarra wind farm. At the time it was built, it was the biggest wind farm in Australia. It's actually here because we've got good wind. We've got this existing transmission line that was built in the 1970s that runs from Horsham to Mildura that's had spare capacity on it. So existing transmission, good wind is an ideal location to build new generation, really big turbines that can harness wind.
In terms of hosting these the transmission lines and the wind farms, what does that do to the value of the property?
It makes the property worth more. It's simple economics. You're earning extra income off that plot of land. That makes the farm worth more. In fact, we bought an additional block of land this year that has 2 transmission towers on it. And I tell you what, they had no negative impact on the price we had to pay for the place. For our transmission line, if we were getting paid for that at what the offer rate is, that'd be worth about $1 million to us over the next 20 years. It's pretty attractive, frankly, for losing 14 10-metre by 10-metre footprints for each tower that we just go around.
How many of these turbines behind you are actually yours?
Well, probably not enough. We'd like to have more of them. The overall project has 17 different landholders. There's 99 turbines. We have 5 on one of our properties, which is off in the distance behind me. So it actually takes up a small footprint on our place. We lose on that particular block about 1.5% of our productive area for the 5 turbines.
So when you say you lose that, are you talking you can't do anything underneath that, like directly underneath, or like is there an exclusion zone or something? Or
Well, no, essentially what we lose is tracks to the turbines. The turbines need to be accessible in the middle of the paddocks for maintenance work. So we've got 6-metre wide tracks and what's called a crane pad at the bottom of each turbine. We're effectively losing a little road. We run our farm machinery over those roads. We work underneath the turbines, so it really does have pretty minimal impact on our grain cropping operation.
You're saying that 5 are yours and you want more. Why would you want more?
We like them for a number of different reasons. First and foremost, it's a good commercial outcome for us. It diversifies our income on that particular block, which is only a small part of our overall farm. It really doubles the profitability of that block.
All right, so you've been farming this property with the transmission lines for 50 years now, right?
In the 1970s, this crew came through and started building that big transmission line. And we've lived with them ever since.
And I can't even see your second head, so that's good.
There's 6,500 kilometres of existing transmission in Victoria. Most of it's been here for decades. It runs through native veg, it runs through all sorts of different farmland. But for most type of agriculture, the limitations it puts on your farming are really, really minimal. We've got trees that we go around, we've got channels, we've got other obstacles. We've in particular got what we call the swirl lines, so the single wire electricity lines that run to pretty much every farming block in Victoria that are relatively low level. We've got to be really careful we don't tangle with those.
If you're driving a big machine, right, what's easier to see? A big transmission line or a single pole in the middle of a paddock?
Dirty big lump of steel that's, I don't know how many metres high is much easier.
That you're not going to hit with your stuff above?
Can't reach it, so it really does have pretty minimal impact on our grain cropping operation.
Would you be able to put it in a percentage-wise?
We lose that 1 to 2% with the wind farm, with tracks and that sort of stuff running through the paddocks. Our loss from transmission towers is 0.01%. Come to my place and have a look, and what you'll see is actually really minimal impact on your farming operations. And you compare that with the overall benefits of what we want to achieve in terms of addressing climate change and the opportunities that this can provide big chunks of regional Australia in terms of jobs and additional income. The benefits so much outweigh the costs. It's not even a comparison. We need to move away from burning fossil fuels and properly embrace renewable energy. That's where the opportunities are for our kids, for the generations ahead. That's where the opportunities are for our population and our economy to have reliable energy in the future. And that's how we're going to bring new jobs to the regions. The beauty of the build of these projects is they pump a heap of dough into the region during the build. We've got the potential in Western Victoria to have a number of decades of significant infrastructure build that will provide apprenticeships, jobs, and a real diversified income for the region.
So local towns benefit massively, money gets spent there.
Murrawarra Stage 1 was a big chunk of that construction was in 2018, and that was probably our last really crook farming year. I could take you into any number of businesses in Horsham, the bearing shop, the engineering shop, the casual labour provider, that will talk about the construction of Stage 1 being a huge godsend for them in what was a really tough farming year.
Why do you think people make such a big deal about the transmission lines?
There hasn't been a new build of major transmission for a number of decades, and I've certainly got to say, looking at it with interest, that a lot of the early consultation and engagement from government energy companies has been really, really poor. I've got some sympathy for those people that feel like it's being pushed on them. But my observation is that that's improving dramatically, and you've got to be sensitive to those concerns and work with those people. But on the other side of it, we've also got to understand that we need power, we need roads, and they've got to go somewhere.
If everyone said no, where would that leave us?
We need roads, we need railway lines, we need airports, we need transmission lines to get power to consumers. One of the arguments I hear is people saying, we're not the power consumers, that's in the big cities, that's not our problem, build your transmission and turbines down there. But I sort of scratch my head a bit about that, because in these regions we're growing food, not just for Australia, but the whole world. So those two things, to me, arguments are a little bit contradictory. One of the things that I really like about what we do with farming is helping keep the world fed and healthy, and to a similar degree, renewables and transmission is us doing a similar thing. Common good.